Who is Cleopatrick? That's the whole purpose of what we're talking about here. To start with, it's two guys on the screen, Ian Frasier and Luke Gruntz. You guys, a couple of young Canadian musicians who now are getting all kinds of attention, not only in America, but all over the world. So welcome and thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
One of the things I wanted to do, the purpose for this is when I first heard your song, when I heard Hometown back last summer, I thought, okay, I got to find out more about these guys because there's something really good here. There's something raw. There's something authentic. And I was having a hard time finding a lot because you've done a lot of this without a record label manager when you were just getting to be the band that you've become now. And now that you've got some support and now that you've got some representation, how really hard was it to get going, or was it just a labor of love?
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't think we ever really thought of it as being hard, but it just took some time. But we've always kind of taken pride in the fact that things have been small and kind of stayed small, even when the song "Hometown" was growing so quickly. We were still playing these little tiny rooms on tour and filling them with lots of people, but it had this like really a really personal feeling, which we knew that we didn't want to take for granted, because obviously we hoped that things would grow, and I think that they are, but we knew that was going to be like a really special time. So it never felt like hard or like we were working and not getting anywhere. It just felt like, oh, this is a really nice beginning.
You guys are a great example for young bands, young musicians who really want to get started and start a grassroots movement and use the modern social media platforms at your disposal. Did you put together a game plan, or was it just fun to just start doing things?
No, I don't think there really was much of a plan. I think we did like have maybe a couple discussions about how we wanted to look, and that was just because we didn't have a lot of style when we first started out. We kind of wanted to find a little bit more of that. But other than that, I mean, I think we tried to keep our social media really personable, and when we post on there, we just treat everyone like our friends, because really that's what like it feels like they are. So
our plans always involved having fun, really, like to be as plain and simple about it. That was really always our plan.
What kind of a background are you guys from in that small Canadian city?
Yeah, we're from Coburg, Ontario, which I think the population sign says 18,000 right now. But it's like a retirement community, so not many of those people are our age. And yeah, like I think that's kind of like the influence it had on our sound is there was never really anywhere that we could play if we wanted to play original music. Like the bars in our town would book us if we played like covers and stuff, but there really wasn't much hope for us and our like original band when we were coming up.
The most common stuff on your bios and your press talk about how you two have been friends since the age of 4, and at 8, by the way, that's the reason I thought this would provide a little inspiration.
Yeah.
At the age of 8, you discovered AC/DC, and that changed everything. I mean, is this mythology, or is it true that an AC/DC song changed your lives? And if so, which one?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of mythology. People definitely put a little more emphasis on it than there was at the time. It's not like I don't think we ever like looked at each other and were like, oh my God, our lives just changed.
Yeah.
But we were really into, we were getting into rock music together, and we both just discovered how dope the first like 2 bars of intro in Back in Black was. And we would just kind of like, we'd put that song on my dad's CD player and like press play. There'd be like the count in, and that first guitar chord would come in. And then we would just rewind it and just start it again. We were like, that feels so good when that guitar comes in.
In hindsight, it's like, it feels like a fairly pivotal moment, but just, when it was happening, it was just fun.
Yeah, life happens. You never know what's going to be the significant moment, and
Totally.
It might be something so simple. So obviously you guys have more influences than that, because this is direct from your own bio. A quick listen reveals devastating riffs and hip-hop inspired grooves, but closer inspection exposes the core mission of lifelong best friends Luke and Ian to restore the outspoken provocation of rock and roll through raw, abrasive honesty. How's that mission going?
I think it's been going pretty well. When we play our shows, there's definitely lots of loud noises and guitars, but I think the loudest thing of all is the lyrics. Everyone's always singing along, and it feels like we're really getting our message across.
In some of the press I have seen is that this was all done from the parents' basement. True?
Very true. Currently
This
in my
day.
parents' basement.
That was my next question. How much of your recording is still done in a basement?
A lot of it. We just tracked our debut album, and we did all like the main tracking in a proper studio in Toronto. But as soon as we were done there, we took all those stems and went to our producer's basement, and we were holed up in there for like a month in total, just being absolute madmen, running things through fuzz pedals and just destroying audio. And yeah, we did that on purpose. It wasn't just to save money. It was because we really wanted to have that like basement energy in this first album.
Two small town Canadian boys who suddenly go to the big city of Toronto, and you just said you went into a studio in Toronto. That had to be a real surreal moment the first time you walked into something of that magnitude with that kind of setup.
I think the whole experience of recording our first album just felt really monumental. Like it's something that we've been dreaming of doing for a long time. Yeah, we've been waiting for the right moment. And it definitely felt like the right moment, especially like we recorded it this past summer. So it was like after the first kind of wave of quarantine and all that had happened, and things were getting better in Canada and the regulations loosened up and we could go record. So that kind of added to it. It was like we were finally coming out of our houses, emerging, and like had this crazy project we were about to start.
You guys are credited as wanting to organize the New Rock Mafia. Tell everybody who they are and what the purpose is.
It's a collective of 3 bands, Ready the Prince, us, Cleopatrick, and this band from Ottawa called Zig Mentality. And we wanted to kind of like bring this little crew together. One, because we're all making the kind of rock music that we all want to hear more of. And 2, because we just, I think there's a lot of competition in rock music at times. And it felt like being from Canada, we're all kind of already fighting an uphill battle to make it in the rest of the world, the grand scheme of the music industry. And it felt more special if we were to kind of like combine forces with these other bands that we look up to. And instead of, working to outdo each other, we're all just working to uplift each other. And for instance, this debut album we're talking about, that we produced it alongside the singer of Zig Mentality. He was our producer.
Well, that's pretty good at that stage, because usually what will happen is, labels will try to move you to somebody more veteran who's done more. But if it could be someone who totally relates and already understands your music, maybe that would continue to get the raw, natural feel, that organic sound that you've been working together on as a little collective group you mentioned.
Or we had the option of working with a handful of producers that we really look up to. But we wanted to make this album and have it sound like us. We didn't want to like come to somebody and look up to them too much or trust their opinion too much that we kind of let part of ourselves go. Save that for another album, but for now we wanted to do it ourselves.
On the Good Grief video, there's a whole lot of guys that are dancing in that empty pool. Are those the members of your new music mafia?
I mean, everybody's kind of technically in that video is kind of a part of NRM in some way or another, but 2 of the dancers are in Ready the Prince, which is directly in New Rock Mafia, and then also our friend Sanjay and our good friend Jake, who is our tour manager as well. So they're all, in a sense, kind of a part of New Rock Mafia.
So with New Rock Mafia, you've got all kinds of sound influences, because even on your bio it says a lot of hip hop as well. And I would see some of the guys doing the California 80s skate punk movements in there, a little bit of ska, a little bit of everything. It sounds like it really is all inclusive. Does this mean eventually you guys are going to reach out and take some of these bands out on the road with you when you can go to tour and start getting your own tours set up?
We love playing shows with our friends, or just playing shows with bands that inspire us or we've connected with online. It's such an awesome feeling, whether it's like a small band that we're able to like share a platform with, or if it's our friends and we all get to kind of like live the most epic night of listening to each other's sets and then playing for each other. Like there's really nothing better than that. And that's kind of always our goal, is like have our friends on the road with us as much as possible.
The New Rock Mafia, you call it inclusive. You want to bring in other musicians, other like-minded performers. What platforms do they need to go to in order to connect with you? How do fans or bands who want to become involved with Cleopatrick? How do they reach you?
So if anyone wants to send us a message or tweet at us, there's a really good chance we'll see it. And there's a really good chance that we'll take the time to listen to whatever you want to share with us. And yeah, like we have like a spreadsheet where we keep track of bands we like and what cities they're from. And when we're there, if we need support, we always reach out.
The one thing I got a kick out of with your Twitter page is you got about 6,000 followers, but you only follow one. Tom Holland, why is he worthy when the other 6,000 are not?
We're just trying to get his attention, really. Like we're just hoping maybe he'll like hear of our band and check and see that we only follow him. And then our goal after we get his attention is to have him join our band as the bass player, because we don't have a bass player, and we think that he could bring a lot to the table as far as overall aesthetic, and maybe we'd get more famous if he was in our band.
Your website, guys, yeah, you've got on there everything from links to YouTube to the Amazon stores, and even one that says dark web. What the hell's the dark web for Cleopatrick?
When we put out our new single, Good Grief, the dark web was a part of like the, I don't know, like release premiere campaign that we did for it, where we had our fans go onto our new website and click on that dark web link, and it took them to an online radio stream where we had like this nice big lead up and then a online radio show that premiered our new song for just them. We kind of wanted to do like something special for all our most engaged listeners.
So is it going to change at random moments to where you need to go back and look at it? Your fans need to continue to go back and see what's on the Cleopatrick dark web.
We have a lot of plans for that website. I think we're gonna keep updating it, and especially as we put out more new music, there's gonna be lots going on.
Every piece of print about you says is lifelong friends. So would you say you guys are complements, like-minded complements to each other, or are you somewhat opposites in your interest and personalities to where it's a yin and a yang complementing each other?
For the most part, we're really on the same page about pretty much everything, especially with music. There's never really like discussions that have to happen about like what we're going for. It just kind of happens. And that is definitely something we don't take for granted.
Let's see how much alike you two actually are, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Threes. Which one do you prefer, each of you? Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Tim Horton?
I'm gonna say Tim Hortons. Sausage Farmers wrap.
Yeah, Tim Hortons, because I think Starbucks is a little bit too expensive, and we don't really have much Dunkin' Donuts or many Dunkin' Donuts around here. I think the only time I've ever really had Dunkin' Donuts was in the States.
Molson, Labatt's, or Budweiser?
I guess Budweiser. That's probably the one I've been around more in my life.
Maybe Labatt, because that just reminds me of being at the Red Dog, which is a venue that we've spent a lot of time in, a lot of good memories.
Your preference on stage for performing? Glass of whiskey, glass of vodka, or other?
Mine's like 6 water bottles.
Yeah.
For front man.
4 cups of water.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Honestly.
You'll have a longer career that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Better skin too.
I just noticed it because a couple of your songs specifically notice about at concerts drinking, so I didn't know if that was one that was, the band has a preference for a little warm up. I don't mean, getting bombed on stage. Just, I got to get my throat loosened up. Let's clear out the phlegm, whatever.
No, it's
totally.
kind of
I guess
opposite.
Jameson then. I guess Jameson, if we're talking like just the spirit of there being something in the same room, but we don't really drink too much when we play.
Do you guys have any starstruck, somebody you're going to run into who you'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe it? Or if fans started doing that to you even yet?
We were in New York, like doing some like meetings and business stuff. And at one point, like these really nice people we were meeting with took us out to this restaurant called Nobu, which was like the most fancy place we've ever been to.
Sushi house.
Yeah. And so I kind of have my eye out for like celebrities because I just figured that's might be where I see them. And as we were leaving, we're going down like this escalator to like the main lobby, and I looked, and just like a passing glance, I am 100% sure I saw Margot Robbie eating with a bunch of people at this table. And she was like laughing at some dude's joke and like kind of looked at me like in my eyes as I walked past. And as I was looking at her, I like just mouthed the words, "Oh my God." And I turned to Ian and I was like, that was Margot Robbie. And we were just slowly going down this escalator.
Which one of you will be the bigger geek if you're ever up on stage performing? You look down and there's Tom Holland.
I don't know. Well, I think I'd have a better chance at seeing him. I'm kind of like up near the front with like my eyes closer to the crowd.
He'd be side stage though. Let's be real. He'd be side stage
true.
right beside me on the left side. I have actually envisioned this. I've envisioned this, but with John Mayer. I've envisioned like looking to the left and him being there, and then looking to the right, and you're just like there. So I feel like it'd be pretty equal. There would be like an energy, and I think everybody would notice really, and we would just like.
Just remember that, Luke. You're just there.
Yeah.
You're just starting to pick up more momentum. You've already got a pretty good fan base, but you need them to go out and spread the word. What do you want them to say to other people to become awoken to the band Cleopatrick?
I think I'd want them to see maybe our new music video for our new song, Good Grief. I think that does a pretty good job at summarizing what we're about. We made it all ourselves. So it has that DIY element. It sounds great. Yeah. I feel like that's what I'd want. I want them to share that video with someone.
You're focused on what you've done, but you really don't have a chance to go out and start creating more from a worldview. One thing that Greta Van Fleet recently said in regard to their upcoming album is once they got out of the small town in Michigan, they were able to really first go on a big tour across America. Then they went overseas. Now they've been all over the place. And it really helped change a lot of their perspective and allowed them to expand their songwriting. How far have you guys been so far? And can you project anything that could change as you go out and pick up more age and a better worldview, being both, 20s, early 20s?
Right. Yeah, I think the furthest we've been from home would probably be like Amsterdam, I think.
Sounds right.
And like we've never really gotten to travel a lot other than touring. So already, I mean, that has given us a lot of perspective. But I think the more so like the thing that's inspired us is the people we've met, because it's been such a trip, like talking to these kids at our shows and realizing that, I mean, this is going to sound so stupid, but that they think of us like a real band, like we think of bands we like. It's been a really hard thing to wrap our heads around, but it's also been like just inspiring because as we were writing this record and as we continue to write songs, like in the back of our minds, we know that someone's there listening and they're going to really listen to every word and like treat this just like any other album. Whereas to us, as we're making it, it doesn't quite feel as real as any other music, obviously, because we're on the inside. But yeah, that perspective from touring has really enhanced our songwriting, I think.
Totally.
Well, guys, I really appreciate the time. Like I said, the first time I heard Hometown, I became a fan. I think it's raw, it's honest, it's just straight up rock and roll that's telling stories. I love the fact that you guys use so much symbolism and metaphors in your lyrics, but you leave it open enough for people to interpret to themselves, to add open interpretation. Don't ever lose it. Don't ever lose it, man. You guys have been a pleasure. I hope you stay this honest and raw after you become really big stars.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. We'll try.
Right. Go get some worldview. Go get some worldview. The band is Cleopatrick. Buy the shirt. Support them. Go to their website. Here. That's not working. There. The band's Cleopatrick. Buy the shirt. Buy their merchandise. Go to their website. Support them. Help these guys get out to beyond Amsterdam. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
man.